PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of Thinking Into Results is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
I guess you can be very successful without one, and probably some people do. But I would not have accomplished anywhere near what I have accomplished without a mentor. I have had a number of mentors, and my whole life has changed dramatically. I went from going nowhere to having a business that operates all over the world. If you want to win in a big way, you want to get a mentor. It's almost like getting a direct pipeline from their mind to your mind, where you're gaining all their wisdom, all their experience, and all the studying that they've done over a number of years. And like that, you get it all in a short period of time. Are mentors important? Well, I'm going to tell you, mentors literally changed the course of my life. Let's take a look at what Thinking Into Results is and what it could do for you, how it came about. You see, my life had changed dramatically. I went from earning nothing to earning over $1 million a year. And I was sitting one day and I was thinking, how did all this happen? Do you know, I was reading Think and Grow Rich. I was studying Earl Nightingale's material. But a lot of people have read those books and studied Earl's material. And they weren't accomplishing what I was accomplishing. So I had to ask myself, what am I doing so different? You see, I had been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I was earning over $1 million a year, and I didn't think I was that bright. I was also raised to believe if you don't go to school, you can't win. Well, I hadn't gone to school. I went to high school for about 2 months. I didn't have a good job. I owned the entire company. If you want to be happy, healthy, and prosperous, it's all here. Thinking Into Results is going to show you how to get it. If what I've said really triggered something in your mind and you're thinking maybe, contact the certified PGI consultant, hit the button, leave the information, do yourself a favor, sit down and talk to them about what this program can do for you. This very well could be the decision that will change the rest of your life.
Well, thank you, Bob. And as you can see, it's just John today. Sid is on vacation. He won't be back for a couple of weeks, so you have to suffer with me for the next 2 weeks. And, you know, Bob talks a lot in the beginning about mentors and thinking into results. And a lot of what he teaches is based off of this book, Think and Grow Rich. And that's where these, steps have come from is the Think and Grow Rich books that we're talking about currently. And today, of course, we're going to be talking about listen. Your gut is not often wrong. And listening to your gut has a lot to do with your success. And there's a lot of people throughout history that have had this success, a lot of success with listening to their gut. One of those would be like Henry Ford, Ford Motor Company, the guy that created that. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the V8. Yeah, baby. Big old truck out there has a V8 in it. And I love it. But a lot of us, we don't necessarily understand how to listen to our gut, listen for things. And it's like, so what is a gut feeling? imagine, I think we've all been in this situation where you're headed out somewhere, and all of a sudden you decide, you know what, I just, for some reason, I just don't want to go, or I don't want to go right now, or something comes up, and you're like, I better take care of that first. You just have this feeling that you really should not either go or not deal with it in any fashion, and all of a sudden you're driving along and you're like, oh, well, that accident happened. When you look that accident up, I would have been here at the time that accident happened. And a lot of that comes from your gut feeling. A lot of businessmen make decisions based on their gut feeling. But we do make a lot of decisions on our own, on our gut feeling. And it's funny because I don't think this stuff is taught in school any longer. We're not taught to listen to ourselves. We're taught that if we talk to ourselves, we're crazy. But sometimes I just need to talk to the smartest person in the room. Right? But sometimes that's how I get my answers. Sometimes I try to figure out like what I need to do for the show. I sit back and I talk to myself. I'm like, well, is that going to be something that everybody understands? Is that going to, am I going to present this? How am I going to present this in a way that the average person is going to understand it? Because maybe I understand it on a different verbiage level than maybe you do. How can I put it in a way that you understand it? Most of us in America use the term, I'm going to sleep on that. Think about that for a second. Why do we do that? Why do we sleep on it? Because maybe if we sleep on it, we know that we're going to kind of empty our mind. It'll be the last thing on our mind, and we'll wake up thinking about it. And chances are we'll have an answer. And usually, not always, but usually, that answer is right. What do you think that is? Maybe it's because our gut kind of knows, or maybe we've just decided to be open to resolution. And we've all experienced it, I know, but a lot of times, like in Think and Grow Rich, and yes, that book's talking about getting rich, but we at S&J Mentoring, what we want to do is show people how to accomplish the goals they want to achieve, that they're afraid to do, something that gives them growth. I as a person strive to be better today than I was yesterday, and I wonder what I can do differently to be a better person tomorrow. And that all, things come to you and you're like, oh, that's a good idea. Where do those ideas come from? And, why are they fleeting? A lot of it comes from knowledge. And sometimes it just comes out of thin air. The infinite universe, as they like to use in the book, you can call him God, but it's infinite universe is a valid term, as this infinite intelligence that we can pull from if we're open to it. But you have to be open to it. And like I said, having knowledge is helpful, but just having knowledge isn't power. I remember when we were younger, I think I'm aging myself. There was a cartoon that we used to watch called G.I. Joe, and they'd always have these little words of wisdom, well, if If you're walking in the dark and you don't have the lights on, you're going to stub your toe and break it. Okay, well, yeah. And knowing's half the battle. You're right. Knowing is half the battle, but they never told us. So turn on the light so that you can see where you're going. Now, because in the dark, you're going to stub your toe. And I know that's a very simplified version of it, but that's the kind of thing they would talk about. So, like I said, so knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is the ability to have power. But part of learning to use your gut is having this knowledge, organizing it so that you can use it, and knowing the difference between what a generalized knowledge is or maybe a specialized knowledge. That's helpful too, because a lot of times it helps you decipher what your gut is telling you. So what is general knowledge? General knowledge, and I have a definition for that, and specialized knowledge right here. So general knowledge, this includes the kind of information typically learned in school or from general reading. It is useful, but doesn't by itself lead to great wealth. It's like, learning that, the top of a mountain is cold. Okay. The top of a mountain is cold. That's general knowledge. But specialized knowledge is the specific practical information directly related to your desired goal, is a kind of knowledge that can be organized and applied to a definite plan for accumulating riches. Now, or your goals. Again, this is directly from Think and Grow Rich. So you don't have to possess all this knowledge yourself. You can acquire it, or more effectively surround yourself with a group. We talked about masterminds in the past. So you can have a mastermind group. These are people that have knowledge that you don't. So like specific knowledge would be, well, the reason it's cold at the top of the mountain is because the higher your elevation goes, the cooler it gets. And at X thousand feet is this, the temperature is reduced by this much. And that's what a specialized knowledge is. So that allows you to understand how your gut or your sixth sense works, and gives you more options to pull from. Ultimately, a gut feeling is giving yourself permission to allow the answer to come from wherever the infinite intelligence is getting it. Because sometimes you don't have it, sometimes the mastermind doesn't have it. And you try to think and you try to go, okay, if I do this, that's not working, and this isn't working, and your mind starts overwhelming itself. Quiet. Learn to sit down and learn to just let the infinite intelligence, God, Yahuwah, whatever name you choose to use, is going to give you the answer you need, because the answer's out there. Everything that we know, that we use, including the internet, has always been here, has always been available. We just had to learn how to access it. So all the answers are there. We just have to be open to listen for it. Now, I could use examples from the past, but most people don't know who a lot of these folks are. Thomas Edison, by name, but we don't. He created the light bulb. Graham Bell created the phone. all people that have created things. But there's a lot of people out there that have been successful by just using their guts and their knowledge, and they continue to extend their knowledge. One of the things the book talks about is how much knowledge that successful people absorb. They don't just absorb, they just don't read, newspapers with the daily news. They don't just read a specific magazine. They read everything they can get their hands on. They have books from all kinds of genres because they can learn from everywhere, which expands your knowledge and helps you learn to use your gut feelings. When we started this, when Sid and I started this podcast, we didn't know what we were going to do. We had a general idea, and I can't say we made all of their shows have been good, but I can say that we've learned from them. I can say that as my knowledge on how to do podcast and how to set the script up to talk, I've gained more intuition. And I've learned to listen to that intuition, that gut feeling that if I do it this way, I think I'm going to touch more people and more people are going to understand what I'm talking about. And that seems to be working. When you look at people today, and I'm going to talk about a couple. One of them is Ozzy. Okay, I'm sorry. Not sorry. Ozzy wrote a lot of songs based on his gut. He talked about that. We wouldn't have Paranoid. Paranoid took him 20 minutes to write because they needed a song to fill one spot. So when Black Sabbath was together, they took a break. They had the song. They had the album almost completely done. They needed one more song, and they only had an hour left or an hour and a half left in the studio. Something that was really a short amount of time, especially to record a song. I guess it takes a while. I'm not familiar with how recording a song works. I am familiar with how voice work works, and that takes a lot more time than people expect. To do like a 2-minute commercial can take almost like 2 or 3 days to do it right. So they wrote this song in 20 minutes. And it was all because Tommy Iommi had an idea for a riff. So he did the riff, and they wrote the song to it. And, one of the greatest hits for Black Sabbath was born, and it was literally based on a gut feeling. It was based on, I heard this, I think it'll work. That's that's gut intuition. Your gut is, and the reason this is called your gut is rarely wrong, because your gut is rarely wrong. Have you ever taken a test and then second guessed your answer, changed it, and got it wrong, and your first guess was right? I know I've done that. So it's because you answered it the first time thinking, well, I'm going to trust my gut. I've learned to trust my gut when it comes to things that I'm not sure of, things that I may even be sure of. I've learned to trust my gut because it's gotten me quite a ways in life, and it's improved my life immensely. The other person I'm going to talk about, I know he's very controversial, but I want to still talk about him because he was assassinated last week, right after our show. This was a young man, Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, and he was silenced for his thoughts in front of his family, in front of the whole world. But this is a young man that never went to college. He started Turning Point USA based on a gut feeling at the age of 18. And he's been going around talking to youth, voters, young adults at college campuses, and has actually been very effective at it. And he was one of the nicest people. I watched several of his videos this week, and I have to say I've never seen anyone as polite as he was, because he would allow everyone to speak their mind, and then he would come back and speak his, and then they would have these exchange of words that was civil. And I thought, that's one of the best ways to really have a communication with people and help them understand your point of view and him understand your point of view. And all of this was done based on a gut feeling. He said that in one of the interviews I saw, he said that he wouldn't change anything he's done because he knew instinctively, i.e., via his gut, that it was the right thing for him to do, no matter what. And even at one point said that even if it cost him his life. Of course, that's a rhetorical statement that you don't. It's not. Sorry, rhetorical is the wrong term. It's just an irony because of what happened. But we see this in success all the time. There's a lot of people that they start their business based on a gut feeling. You have to. Everything that we do that makes us successful in life, doesn't matter who you are, requires some sort of intuition, requires some sort of problem-solving capabilities that require this leap of faith in that the thought that you just had was correct. And you can call it a sixth sense, a gut feeling, gut intuition. I know we've all had them. Being able to determine and correctly identify and fix a problem, like Henry Ford with the eight-cylinder motor, because when they started, 4 cylinders was what they could use and what they could create. And this had been going on for months. I think they were at the 12-month mark, if I remember correctly. And trust me, if it wasn't for Henry Ford, we wouldn't have muscle cars. And I love my muscle cars. I love my truck. I love having a big motor in my truck. I don't care how much gas it guzzles. I love it. But I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for Henry Ford. Now, did Henry Ford create this? No. But Henry Ford had the intuition and the gut feeling that it would be successful. And he found the specialized knowledge within the scientists to create this for him. So at the 12-month mark, they're coming in and look, we just can't do it. It's an impossibility. He says, nope. I know it can be done, and I'll have it. Now, grant you, for a year, all these scientists did was try to create an 8-cylinder motor. And 6 months after that conversation, guess what we had? We had the first 8-cylinder on the planet. Now we have them everywhere. I got this big, beautiful 5.7-liter motor in my big truck out here, and I love it. Thank you, Henry Ford, for having the gut intuition to know that this could be something wonderful. The Wright brothers, if they didn't have the intuition that we could fly, and look at how fast once something is created. This is another thing about gut feelings and the intuition. Once one person has gotten over that gut feeling and gotten through and gotten the answer from their gut and got it figured out, now within, a few months, a couple of years, there's other people expanding on it because it makes sense to them. It almost becomes like it's part of our DNA, and we start going, oh, I get it. It's like our children with iPads. They're going to grow up with that. Most of them aren't going to know what it's like to turn a page on a book because they're going to be reading it on an iPad. But they're going to understand how to operate that iPad better than I ever could. That's because somebody figured it out. How did they do that? Well, it had to be through a mastermind. They had to have some sort of intuition that caused this to happen. So, in closing, be open to what answer may come to your question, and learn to be quiet enough to hear that answer. And things will start happening to move you towards your goal. Listen and then be active. That's really the key to your gut intuition. I just want to thank you, all of you, for sharing your time with me. If you do wish to learn more about how to obtain your goals, please visit our website at sj-mentoring.com, sj-mentoring.com. In order for this to work, please fill out the contact request form. And what that does is allows us to set up a free discovery session, about $250 value. And this is where we learn about your unique situation, the goals that you want to obtain, all your unique goals. And then it allows us to learn about that so that we can show you how to accomplish them. Like, share, subscribe. It really helps. It gets the podcast out there. And then join us next week. We're going to talk about the last step, step 13. Develop your sixth sense. Give yourself permission to listen to the universe. That's what the sixth sense is about. And that will be the last in the steps to success. I look forward to sharing that with you. Again, visit our website, sjmentoring.com. That's sj-mentoring.com, so we can show you how to accomplish your dreams. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a great day.
Did you know your clothing could help balance your body's pH levels? Our cutting-edge fabric technology naturally promotes optimal pH balance, helping you feel energized, refreshed, and at your best every day. Use promo code PRTalk for more info. Tap the link in the description or contact our experts at 702-445-9488 to learn more.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.